In the vast expanse of the Milky Way galaxy, countless alien races thrived and competed. Among them were the Zephyrians, a species known for their gentle nature and love of peace. They looked different from most aliens, with their light blue skin, large purple eyes, and delicate, feather-like hair. The Zephyrians were small in size, rarely growing taller than 4 feet. For centuries, the Zephyrians lived on their home planet, Zephyria. It was a beautiful world with floating islands and sparkling crystal forests. The Zephyrians were happy there, but they dreamed of exploring the stars and making friends with other races. When they finally built their first starships and ventured into space, the Zephyrians were filled with excitement. They imagined all the wonderful aliens they would meet and the amazing things they would learn. But their dreams were quickly shattered. The galaxy was not the friendly place they had hoped for. Other alien races looked down on the Zephyrians, calling them weak and useless. The Zephyrians had no powerful weapons, no strong muscles, and no special abilities that other aliens thought were important. Everywhere they went, the Zephyrians faced cruel treatment. The warrior-like Krolthans laughed at their small size. The technology-loving mech minds mocked their simple machines. Even the usually friendly Blobians refused to trade with them. Zephyrian ships were often bullied in space. Bigger, meaner alien vessels would push them around or steal their resources. Sometimes, the Zephyrians were not even allowed to land on other planets to refuel or get supplies. Despite all this, the Zephyrians did not give up. They believed that if they kept being kind and showed others how smart and helpful they could be, someone would eventually accept them. But as the years passed, their hope began to fade. One day, a group of young Zephyrians decided they had to do something. They couldn't bear to see their people suffer any longer. These brave explorers, led by a clever Zephyrian named Azula, set out on a dangerous mission. They would travel to the farthest reaches of known space, searching for anyone who might help them. Azula and her team faced many challenges on their journey. They had to sneak past hostile alien patrols and navigate through dangerous asteroid fields. Sometimes, they barely had enough fuel to keep going, but they refused to give up. Months turned into years, and still, the Zephyrians found no allies. They visited hundreds of planets and space stations, but everywhere they went, the story was the same. No one wanted to be friends with the weak Zephyrians. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, something amazing happened. Azula's ship picked up a strange signal coming from an unexplored part of the galaxy. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before. With their last bit of energy, the Zephyrian explorers followed the signal. It led them to a small blue-green planet circling an average yellow star. The planet was beautiful, with vast oceans, green lands, and swirling white clouds. As they got closer, the Zephyrians realized this planet was teeming with life. They saw cities, vehicles, and all sorts of technology. But what really caught their attention were the inhabitants. These aliens looked nothing like any species they had ever encountered. Azula and her team watched in amazement as they observed the planet from high orbit. They saw beings that walked on 2 legs, came in many colors, and seemed to be constantly busy building, creating, and exploring. What fascinated the Zephyrians most was how diverse these aliens were. Some were tall, others short. Some were strong, others quick. They all seemed different, yet they worked together in ways the Zephyrians had never seen before. For the first time in years, Azula felt a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, these strange new aliens would be different from the others. Perhaps they would see the Zephyrians for who they truly were, not just judge them for their physical weakness. With nervous excitement, Azula made a decision. It was time for the Zephyrians to reveal themselves. They would take a chance and try to make contact with this unknown species. Little did they know, this choice would change not only their fate, but the future of the entire galaxy. As Azula prepared to send the first message, she looked at her tired but determined crew. "Friends," she said softly, "I think we've finally found what we've been searching for. Let's just hope they're ready to meet us." Azula and her Zephyrian crew watched the blue-green planet with growing excitement. They had never seen anything like it before. The aliens on this world seemed so different from any they had met in their travels. Using their advanced technology, the Zephyrians zoomed in on various parts of the planet. They saw busy cities with tall buildings reaching towards the sky. They observed vehicles of all shapes and sizes moving on roads and through the air. The oceans were filled with ships, and the land was covered with farms and forests. But what amazed them most were the aliens themselves. These beings came in all colors, shapes, and sizes. Some were tall, others short. Some had dark skin, others light. They had hair in different colors and styles. Despite their differences, they all seemed to work and live together. "Look!" cried Zelos, one of Azula's crew members. "They're building something huge in that desert area." The Zephyrians zoomed in to see a massive construction project. Hundreds of the aliens worked together, using giant machines to move Earth and build structures. It was unlike anything they had seen on other planets. "And over there," said Lyra, another crew member, "they're exploring the deepest parts of their ocean." Sure enough, the Zephyrians saw submarines and divers plunging into the darkest depths of the alien world seas. These beings seemed curious about everything, always eager to learn and discover. As they continued to observe, the Zephyrians noticed something else. These aliens faced many challenges. They had storms, earthquakes, and other natural disasters. Sometimes they even fought among themselves. But no matter what happened, they always seemed to bounce back stronger. "They're so resilient," Azula said in wonder. "Just like us, but in a different way." For days, the Zephyrian ship stayed in orbit, carefully hidden from the planet's detection systems. They learned more about these fascinating aliens, whom they heard refer to themselves as humans in their broadcasts. They discovered that humans had many different languages, cultures, and beliefs. Yet somehow, they managed to work together on a global scale. The Zephyrians were amazed by human art, music, and stories. They were impressed by human science and technology, which was different from anything in the rest of the galaxy. "I think it's time," Azula finally said to her crew. "We should try to make contact." The crew was nervous but excited. They had been rejected so many times before. Would these humans be any different? Carefully, Azula composed a message. She used what they had learned about human languages to create a simple greeting in several of Earth's most spoken languages. The message explained who the Zephyrians were and asked for peaceful communication. With hearts pounding, the Zephyrians sent the message to several of Earth's major space agencies. Then they waited. At first, there was no response. The Zephyrians worried that maybe the humans hadn't received their message, or worse, had ignored it. But then, after what felt like an eternity, a reply came. The message was simple but filled the Zephyrians with joy. "We hear you. We welcome you. We are ready to meet." Excitement filled the Zephyrian ship. For the first time in their long journey, they had found someone willing to talk to them. The humans suggested a meeting place, a remote area to avoid panic among their population. They asked the Zephyrians to come in peace and promised to do the same. As Azula prepared her ship for landing, she felt a mix of hope and fear. What if this was a trick? What if the humans rejected them like everyone else? But something told her this time would be different. "Everyone ready?" she asked her crew. They all nodded, their big purple eyes wide with anticipation. The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, heading towards the meeting point. As they broke through the clouds, they saw a group of humans waiting for them. There were scientists, government officials, and even some regular citizens who had been chosen to represent humanity. The Zephyrian ship landed softly on the ground. Azula took a deep breath and looked at her crew. "Well," she said with a nervous smile, "let's go meet our new neighbors." As the ship's door opened, the Zephyrians stepped out into the bright sunlight of Earth, ready to begin a new chapter in their history. and in the history of the galaxy. As Azula and her Zephyrian crew stepped out of their ship, they blinked in the bright sunlight of Earth. The air smelled different here, fresh and full of life. In front of them stood a group of humans, their faces a mix of excitement, curiosity, and a little fear. For a moment, both sides just stared at each other. The Zephyrians, with their light blue skin and large purple eyes, looked very different from the humans. But despite their alien appearance, the humans didn't run away or show disgust like other species had done before. A tall woman with dark skin and curly hair stepped forward. She wore a uniform with many badges. "Welcome to Earth," she said in a clear, strong voice. "I'm General Maria Rodriguez, representing the United Earth Council." Azula took a deep breath and replied in the human language she had learned. "Thank you for your welcome. I am Azula, leader of this Zephyrian expedition. We come in peace and friendship." As Azula spoke, she saw surprise and then delight on the humans' faces. They hadn't expected the aliens to speak their language so well. Over the next few hours, the Zephyrians and humans talked. The Zephyrians told their story, how they had been rejected and bullied by other alien races, how they had searched the galaxy for friends, and how they had finally found Earth. The humans listened with growing sympathy. They asked many questions, eager to learn more about the galaxy and the challenges the Zephyrians faced. "It's hard to believe there are so many other aliens out there," said Dr. James Chen, a scientist in the group. "And it's sad to hear how they treated you." Azula nodded. "We had almost given up hope, but then we found your world, and you've been so kind to us already." As the day went on, news of the alien visitors spread around the world. People everywhere watched their screens, amazed to see real aliens for the first time. Some were scared, but many were excited and curious. The next few days were busy. The Zephyrians met with more human leaders, scientists, and regular people. They shared their technology and knowledge about the galaxy. In return, the humans showed them Earth's cultures, art, and science. The Zephyrians were amazed by human creativity and determination. They saw how humans faced problems on their own planet, but always worked to solve them. It was so different from the other aliens they had met. One day, during a meeting with world leaders, Azula decided to take a big risk. "We need your help," she said. "The Zephyrian people are in danger. Other alien races bully us and steal from us. We've been looking for protectors, for allies. Would Earth consider forming an alliance with us?" The room went quiet. The human leaders looked at each other, surprised by this request. It was a big decision. Allying with the Zephyrians could bring Earth into galactic politics and maybe even conflicts. "This is a serious matter," said President Amina Al-Kafur of the African Union. "We need to think carefully about what it means for Earth." "But we can't just turn our backs on them," argued Prime Minister Yuki Tanaka of Japan. "They came to us for help. Isn't that what humanity is about? Helping others?" Debates broke out among the leaders. Some were worried about the risks. Others saw opportunities for Earth to learn and grow. The discussions went on for days. Finally, after much talk and thought, the United Earth Council made a decision. General Rodriguez delivered the news to Azula and her crew. "Earth has decided to form an alliance with the Zephyrian people," she announced. "We will offer you protection and friendship. In return, we ask for your knowledge and cooperation as we step into this larger galaxy." Azula felt tears in her big purple eyes. After so long, the Zephyrians had found not just acceptance, but true allies. "Thank you," she said, her voice full of emotion. "The Zephyrian people will never forget this kindness." As news of the alliance spread across Earth, there was a mix of reactions. Many humans cheered, excited about the new future ahead. Others worried about the unknown dangers. But most agreed on one thing: everything was about to change. Little did they know just how big those changes would be, or how their decision would shake the entire galaxy. News of the alliance between Earth and the Zephyrians spread quickly across the galaxy. At first, many alien races didn't believe it. How could the weak Zephyrians have found allies? And who were these humans anyway? But as more information came out, the other aliens realized it was true. A new species had entered galactic politics, and they had chosen to protect the Zephyrians. This made many powerful races very angry. The Krolthans, a warrior species with thick armor-like skin, were the first to react. Their supreme commander, a giant alien named Grokter, sent a message to Earth. His hologram appeared in the United Earth Council chamber, towering over the human leaders. "Humans," Grokter growled, his voice deep and threatening. "You do not know what you have done. The Zephyrians are weak and useless. By allying with them, you show that you are weak too. Break this alliance now, or face the consequences." The human leaders were shocked by this threat, but they didn't back down. President Okafor stood up, looking small next to Grokter's hologram, but speaking with strength. "We have made our decision. The Zephyrians are our friends, and we will not abandon them." Grokter's hologram disappeared with an angry roar. The chamber was silent for a moment before erupting into worried chatter. Over the next few weeks, more alien races sent messages to Earth. The mech minds, a species of cyborgs, threatened to cut off all technology trade. The Blobians, usually peaceful traders, said they would stop all business with Earth and its allies. Even some races that had ignored the Zephyrians before now spoke up against Earth. They didn't want humans interfering with how things worked in the galaxy. On Earth, people began to worry. They had been excited about meeting aliens, but now it seemed like the whole galaxy was against them. Some humans started to think maybe the alliance was a bad idea. "We should never have gotten involved," said one Earth politician during a debate. "Now we've made enemies we don't even understand." But others stood firm. "We did the right thing," argued Dr. Chen in a public speech. "The Zephyrians needed help, and we helped them. That's what makes us human." Meanwhile, the Zephyrians watched all this with fear and guilt. They hadn't meant to cause trouble for their new friends. Azula met with Earth's leaders, her purple eyes full of worry. "Perhaps we should leave," she said sadly. "We don't want to bring war to your world." But General Rodriguez shook her head. "No, Azula. We made a promise, and we'll keep it. Humanity has faced challenges before. We'll face this one too." Despite these brave words, things got harder for Earth and the Zephyrians. Some alien races started attacking Zephyrian ships, even when they were under human protection. Earth's first attempts to trade with other worlds were blocked. Prices for goods on Earth went up as alien materials became hard to get. Some humans lost their jobs as space-based businesses struggled. There were protests in many cities, with people arguing about whether the alliance was worth all this trouble. But in the middle of all these problems, something unexpected started to happen. Humans, faced with a galaxy that suddenly seemed unfriendly, began to work together like never before. Countries that had been enemies for years now shared resources and information. Scientists from all over the world worked day and night to understand alien technology and find ways to protect Earth. And the Zephyrians, grateful for Earth's protection, shared everything they knew. They taught humans about space travel, helped improve Earth's technology, and warned them about the dangers in the galaxy. One day, as Azula watched humans and Zephyrians working side by side in a new space station, she turned to General Rodriguez. "I've never seen anything like this," she said. "Everyone working together, not giving up even when things are hard." Rodriguez smiled. "That's humanity for you. We're not the strongest or the smartest, but we don't give up, and we stick by our friends." As they looked out at the stars, both knew that bigger challenges were coming. But for the first time, neither the humans nor the Zephyrians felt alone in facing them. As Earth faced growing pressure from the galaxy, humans did what they had always done in tough times. They got creative. All around the world, scientists, engineers, and even ordinary people started coming up with new ideas to solve their problems. In a small lab in Brazil, Dr. Maria Santos was working late one night. She had been studying the Zephyrians' natural ability to float in air. If we could copy this, she thought, we could change how we travel and build things. After months of hard work, Dr. Santos and her team created a device that could make things float like the Zephyrians. They called it the Z-Lift. Soon, Z-Lifts were being used to build tall buildings faster than ever before and to make new kinds of flying cars. Meanwhile, in a garage in India, a young mechanic named Ravi Patel had an idea. He had been listening to the Zephyrians talk about how other aliens attacked their ships. What if we could make our ships invisible? He wondered. Ravi worked day and night, combining old human stealth technology with what he learned from the Zephyrians. After many failed attempts, he finally created a cloaking device that could hide a whole ship. The Earth Defense Force quickly started using Ravi's invention to protect their fleet. But it wasn't just big inventions that made a difference. All over Earth, people found smart ways to deal with the lack of alien materials. Farmers grew new kinds of food in tough conditions. Engineers built machines that could recycle almost anything. The Zephyrians watched all this with amazement. They had always thought they were the creative ones, but humans seemed to have endless new ideas. Azula visited a school in Japan, where kids were learning to mix Earth and Zephyrian styles of art. "I've never seen colors used like this before," she said, looking at a painting that seemed to glow with an inner light. The young artist, a girl named Yuki, smiled shyly. "I was trying to show how Earth and Zephyria might look if they were mixed together," she explained. This mixing of human and Zephyrian ideas was happening everywhere. In a research center in Kenya, human doctors and Zephyrian healers worked together to create new medicines. These new treatments could cure diseases that had troubled both species for years. One day, a breakthrough came from an unexpected place. Tom Chen, a 15-year-old boy from Canada, was playing with his computer when he had an idea. He mixed human coding with some Zephyrian math he had learned in school. The result was a new kind of computer program that could think almost like a living thing. At first, nobody took Tom's invention seriously, but when he used it to solve a problem that had stumped scientists for years, people started to pay attention. Soon, Tom's AI program was helping to run Earth's defenses, predict alien attacks, and even talk to other species in their own languages. As news of these human inventions spread across the galaxy, other aliens started to take notice. The mech minds, who had cut off technology trade with Earth, were especially interested in Tom's eye. The Blobians couldn't resist the colorful new art styles coming from Earth. Slowly, some alien races began to rethink their opinion of humans. "Perhaps we judged them too quickly," said a Blobian trader to his friends. "These humans may be young, but they are full of surprises." Even the tough Krolthans had to admit that humans were more clever than they had thought. After a small Krolthan ship was saved from a space storm by a human rescue team using Z-Lift technology, their leaders started to soften their stance. One evening, as Azula and General Rodriguez watched a sunset from the new floating city of New Jakarta, Azula turned to her human friend. "When we came to Earth, we thought we were just looking for protection," she said. "But we found so much more. You humans have changed everything." Rodriguez smiled. "We're just getting started," she said. "Together, there's nothing we can't do." As the sun disappeared below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the floating buildings, both the human and the Zephyrian felt a surge of hope. The galaxy had tried to push them down, but instead it had pushed them to become something new and wonderful. And this was just the beginning of their journey together. Just as Earth and the Zephyrians were starting to gain some respect in the galaxy, a crisis struck. A massive space storm, bigger than any seen before, was heading towards the busiest part of the galaxy. This area, known as the Celestial Crossroads, was where many important trade routes met. The storm was so large and powerful that it threatened to destroy entire planets and disrupt travel across half the galaxy. Alien races that had been fighting each other now faced a common enemy, nature itself. As news of the coming storm spread, panic grew. The Krolthans tried to fight the storm with their powerful weapons, but their shots just disappeared into the swirling chaos. The mech minds used their best computers to predict the storm's path, but they couldn't figure out how to stop it. In the middle of all this fear and confusion, a message came from Earth. The humans and Zephyrians said they had a plan to save the celestial crossroads. At first, many aliens laughed. How could these newcomers solve a problem that had stumped the oldest and smartest races in the galaxy? But as the storm got closer and nothing else worked, the galactic leaders decided to listen to the Earth-Zephyrian plan. In a big meeting on a space station near the crossroads, Azula and General Rodriguez explained their idea. They would use a combination of human and Zephyrian technology to create a giant shield around the threatened area. The shield will use Zephyrian floating technology to stay in place, Azula explained, and it will be powered by a new kind of energy that humans have discovered. Dr. Maria Santos, the inventor of the Z-Lift, stepped forward. "We call it harmony energy," she said. "It comes from combining matter and antimatter in a special way. It's more powerful than anything in the galaxy." The alien leaders were surprised. They had always thought antimatter was too dangerous to use. But the humans had found a safe way to handle it. "And how will you control this shield?" asked the leader of the mech minds, still doubtful. That's when Tom Chen, now a little older but still full of energy, spoke up. "My AI program can adjust the shield as the storm changes," he said. "It can think faster than any computer in the galaxy." The plan was risky, and there wasn't much time. But with no other options, the galactic leaders agreed to try it. For the next week, ships from all over the galaxy worked together to build the giant shield. Humans and Zephyrians led the work, but they needed help from everyone. Krolthan's strength moved the biggest pieces into place. Mech mind precision made sure everything fit perfectly. Even the Blobians helped, using their flexible bodies to reach difficult spots. As the storm got closer, the shield was finally ready. Tom's AI program was connected, and Dr. Santos prepared to turn on the harmony energy. Everyone held their breath as the huge storm hit the shield. At first, it looked like the shield might break. Strange colors flashed across its surface, and it bent in ways that seemed impossible. But it held. The AI adjusted the shield constantly, strengthening it where the storm was strongest. The harmony energy glowed brighter and brighter, pushing back against the storm's fury. For 3 days and nights, the battle between the shield and the storm continued. People from all over the galaxy watched, amazed by what they were seeing. Finally, on the 4th day, the storm began to weaken. By the end of the week, it had passed, leaving the celestial crossroads safe and undamaged. As the shield was turned off, there was a moment of silence. Then, a cheer went up that could be heard across space. Ships of all shapes and sizes flew in celebration around the Earth and Zephyrian vessels. In the main control room, Azula turned to General Rodriguez with tears in her big purple eyes. "We did it," she said softly. "We really did it." Rodriguez nodded, smiling. "We all did it together, and I think the galaxy will never be the same." As they looked out at the ships flying together, humans and Zephyrians standing proud among aliens of all kinds, they knew a new age was beginning. The underdogs had become the heroes, and the galaxy had learned an important lesson about judging others too quickly. In the months following the Great Space Storm, the galaxy changed in ways no one could have imagined. The Earth-Zephyrian alliance, once mocked and threatened, was now celebrated as the saviors of the celestial crossroads. Azula and General Rodriguez found themselves invited to speak at the Grand Galactic Council, a meeting of all the major alien races. As they stood before the huge crowd of different species, Azula couldn't help but remember how, not long ago, most of these aliens wouldn't even look at a Zephyrian. "Friends," Azula began, her voice shaky at first, but growing stronger, "we came to you as outcasts, seeking only a safe place to live. But thanks to the kindness and creativity of humanity, we found not just safety, but a way to help the entire galaxy. General Rodriguez stepped forward. "Humans are newcomers to this vast universe," she said. "We have much to learn. But we've also shown that sometimes fresh eyes can see solutions that others miss. We're here to learn, but also to contribute." The council listened carefully. Many of the alien leaders who had once dismissed humans and Zephyrians now nodded in agreement. After the speech, things began to change quickly. The Krolthans, impressed by human bravery, offered to train Earth's space forces. The mech minds, fascinated by Tom Chen's AI, proposed a technology exchange program. Even the Blobians came forward, eager to set up new trade routes with Earth and Zephyria. But the biggest surprise came from some of the smaller, less powerful alien races. Inspired by how humans had protected the Zephyrians, they began to ask for similar alliances. The Flutterlings, a race of small-winged aliens who had always been ignored, were the first to approach Earth. "We have beautiful music and art," they said, "but larger races keep taking our resources. Can you help us like you helped the Zephyrians?" Next came the Rootlings, plant-like aliens who could grow food in any environment, but were often forced to work as slaves on other planets. "We want to be free," they said. "Will you stand with us?" One by one, races that had been pushed aside or bullied came to Earth asking for friendship and protection. Humans and Zephyrians welcomed them all, creating what became known as the Alliance of New Friends. This new alliance grew quickly. With humans' creativity, Zephyrians' gentle wisdom, and the unique skills of each new member race, they began to solve problems across the galaxy. The Flutterlings' music was found to have healing properties. Soon, Flutterling healers were in high demand everywhere. The Rootlings' farming skills helped end hunger on many worlds. Zephyrian floating cities began to appear on planets where the ground was too dangerous to live on. Humans continued to surprise everyone with their inventions. They created ships that could travel faster than ever before, allowing even the farthest planets to stay connected. They developed new ways to clean up polluted worlds, making dead planets livable again. As the alliance grew stronger, the balance of power in the galaxy began to shift. The old, powerful races found that they couldn't bully or ignore the smaller ones anymore. Instead, they had to learn to cooperate and trade fairly. 5 years after the Great Storm, Azula and General Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of Unity, the largest space station ever built. It floated at the heart of the celestial crossroads, a symbol of the new age. Around them, aliens of all kinds worked and lived together. There were Krolthans gently helping tiny Flutterlings move heavy equipment. Mech minds and humans excitedly discussed new ideas. Zephyrians taught Rootlings how to float, while Blobians entertained everyone with their shape-shifting tricks. "Look at this," Azula said, her purple eyes wide with wonder. "When we first met, I never dreamed something like this was possible." Rodriguez smiled, putting a hand on her friend's shoulder. "That's the thing about dreams, Azula. Sometimes reality turns out even better." As they watched a group of children, human, Zephyrian, and a mix of other species, play together, both felt a deep sense of pride and hope. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. True strength comes not from bullying others, but from lifting each other up. The adventure that began with a lonely Zephyrian ship discovering Earth had led to a new age of cooperation and friendship. And as new challenges arose, as they always would, the alliance of new friends stood ready to face them together.